Good day. It's Tuesday, November the 23rd. I'm Martin Gagel with Market Radius Research. Today, we've got CEO Paul Pedersen of Nextleaf Solutions. Nextleaf is a federally regulated producer of cannabis oils that owns one of the largest portfolios of U.S. patents for the extraction and distillation of cannabinoids, distributing cannabis vapes and distilled oils to the wholesale customers, along with its branded product, Glacial Gold. With Nextleaf, I've got Paul here because I'm interested in the story. I'm not a fan of the whole cannabis space. I like the companies that have a differentiated angle on the market, either some picks and shovels type tools for the industry or niche markets that can be exploited. And I met Paul many years ago, probably what were we saying, 4 or 5 years ago, Paul, before they went public at an investor conference. And I'm interested in seeing how the company has evolved over the years and refocused their business model as the industry has matured. And remember, this is neither a recommendation nor investment advice. We're here to learn about the company and do your own due diligence. Paul, thanks for joining us today, and let's hear your pitch.
Hey, Martin, and thank you very much. And I appreciate everyone's time today, first and foremost. It's a very exciting time for our company, Nextleaf Solutions. Martin mentioned we're a federally regulated cannabis oil producer that owns one of the largest portfolios of U.S. patents for the extraction and distillation of cannabinoids. The business is really built around 3 key areas, and when we started the company, it was an R&D focused initiative. We've been very successful as a company, developing one of the largest patent portfolios, over 95 issued patents globally and 17 issued patents in the United States. And based on that IP portfolio, we've been able to build our custom cryoethanol extraction purification plant in Vancouver, which we believe is one of the most efficient operations in the world. It's allowed us over the last 12 months to commission our plant and ramp up production, supplying some of the largest federally regulated companies in the world with wholesale CBD and THC distillates, which have gone into their branded products. And this past September, Nextleaf launched its first consumer brand. We're very excited about it. It's a Prohibition era award-winning Glacial Gold. We thought it was a perfect fit for our vapes and oils. As a company, really feel that the branded products side is what has tremendous growth, as we have shown and really demonstrated the strength of not only the brand, but most importantly, our patented ingredient processing technology, as we have grabbed up significant market share with our vapes and oils here in BC, and I'm very excited to bring the brand nationally. So when we sort of step back and say, what is the big commercial opportunity in cannabis that we're very excited about? And first and foremost, it's upcycling what we call garbage into gold, and that is transforming low value oil grade flower and biomass into high purity distillate and cannabinoid-based ingredients on an industrial scale. As a business, we have focused on vapes and oils and the idea of building brands based on innovative IP, and that idea of having a competitive advantage around producing distillates from that upcycled cannabis. And then finally, with the award-winning Prohibition era brand Glacial Gold, actually converting some of those legacy consumers. Cannabis in Canada is still predominantly supplied by the illicit market, and we think with a familiar award-winning brand with products at accessible price points is a big opportunity for us to convert some of that market.
Paul, sorry, just going back to that the slide there where you turn the garbage into gold, and you do that for other companies. You're the processor for them. Do they send you their garbage and then you're like a toll processor of it, or do you just get the biomass and the product yourself and then sell it to them with the raw materials that you purchase on the market?
Yeah, we've done it both ways. We're more focused on bringing in biomass from our existing cultivation partners and actually wholesaling CBD and THC distillate just from a logistics standpoint. certainly a lot easier. But we have and do have clients that prefer actually having distillate from their own biomass inputs.
All right. And just to be clear, you're not a grower. You don't have any greenhouses or anything like that.
No. You know, what we've always said is that we would never grow a plant, and our focus is on the underlying technology to take biomass from the farmers, from the growers, and through our 95 issued global patents, be able to convert that to a high purity distillate, being able to actually separate, isolate, and produce the CBD and THC molecules in the biomass is actually what we're after, getting that to a very highly purified form. And you know, this slide is a great example of just a pictorial representation of what our competitive advantage is. And I think this is very important. This is the part in the industry that I think folks haven't focused on enough, and that's what is your cost advantage. We've designed and built, commissioned and operate our patented end-to-end closed-loop automated extraction plant with inline winterization, filtration, remediation, and post-extraction processing. What does that mean? It means that a total of 3 staff can operate a plant that processes the same amount of biomass as 10 large off-the-shelf CO2 extractors with their supporting infrastructure. Requires about 30 operators to process the same amount of biomass. And really through that competitive advantage is what we have built this business off. Nextleaf Labs is our Health Canada licensed oil refinery. We're east of Vancouver in Coquitlam, BC. We hold all the licenses from standard processing, research, and human trials, which I'll get into a little bit later. This is where we house our patented extraction plant. The facility produces cannabis and hemp distillate, or I should say distillate from cannabis and hemp into THC and CBD, highly purified. We also do manufacturing, very narrow scope of vape and bottled oils, as well as all the way down to finished goods, which we ship directly to the provincial retailers, provincial distributors.
Sorry, Paul, when you talked about like turning the garbage, I know that sounds a little harsh, but like the remnants of that into product, given that you distill it and you get it to high purity, is the quality of the input that important to you? Or like if you get a good crop versus a bad crop or anything, or through your processing and your purification, you basically take all the good stuff out and leave all the bad stuff. You take all the good stuff out and leave the bad stuff behind.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And I think that's what's most exciting is when we look at the sector, there's a lot of biomass out there. There's been a lot of fixed large scale cultivation assets that simply aren't turning out very high quality product. You know, every CEO wants to stand up and say that they grow high quality flower. And what we've seen is that there's an abundant supply of greenhouse material, also biomass grown outside, and older product. You know, for us, the quality doesn't matter. We've got a tremendous amount of IP post extraction around the filtration, and I'll get that into a moment. But I think, you know, the very exciting part of our business model. This is a list of some of our wholesale partnerships. We have put together a program where we actually put together a service where we're bringing biomass into our facility from cultivators that have full vaults. They need to get rid of it. You know, for us, it doesn't matter if the product's 2 years old. We're after the chemistry. We have a number of very tremendous wholesale partners. A hemp cooperative, which we've been able to use for our BC sun-grown hemp, and be able to supply both our wholesale customers. We have an ongoing CBD supply with a NASDAQ listed global cannabis company. This is a customer we won away from one of the largest processors in the world, and it's really a testament, I think, to the quality of the distillate and the efficiency, the economics that we're able to turn out. Also have some great ongoing supplies with large producers that use our THC for vape pens and other products. That THC is derived from some of our partnerships with large greenhouses and some BC cultivators that simply need to utilize a higher percentage of their harvest. And through our partnership, it's a very unique opportunity for us to leverage some of the scale of cultivators that's out there. For us, the wholesale business and providing molecules, I think, has been a great business. However, where we are headed as a business is into branded consumer products. As I mentioned, recently launched Glacial Gold, our award-winning Prohibition era, a brand which we acquired. We felt that a brand having national exposure, it won a number of cups before weed was legal. We felt that would give us a big benefit, especially with all the marketing rules. I think what I really want to touch on is how well the launch has gone. Currently have the top value THC cart in BC, the top value CBD oil in BC, and recently launched the highest potency CBD oil in Canada. That's our distilled CBD 200 product, which we're very excited about. BC,
Paul, the highest potency, what is the ratio or grams per mill, or like how do you rank, how do you define that, and what is that metric?
Yeah, so that's 200 milligrams of CBD per milliliter, and we put that into a 30 ml bottle of organic coconut MCT oil. So for us, it's a great organic product, and over 5,000 milligrams of CBD in a bottle. It's actually the best value currently in Canada for CBD. And there was a recent CBC documentary on the CBD market in Canada. So we're very excited about it. I mean, this is a category that we think has a tremendous growth potential, with I think the expectation that CBD will be deregulated here in Canada. But just getting back to our distribution, Glacial Gold was a brand that was created in BC. That's where we wanted to start, and for us, we thought it was a great way to validate our technology against some of the largest, most well-financed companies in the world. We've listed our vapes and oils alongside their SKUs in BC here, and have done a tremendous job in taking away market share, and most importantly, creating tremendous value for consumers from a price and quality standpoint. The plan, of course, is to take Glacial Gold national. Currently have a supply agreement with NCD for distribution in Saskatchewan. Just recently launched in the medical market through a Quebec platform.
I don't know if it's me. I just got a little internet connection is unstable. You sort of froze out for me for 20 seconds there. I don't know if it's hard for me to tell if other people had that problem too, but if you could sort of rewind and start that again.
So the strategy with our distribution is build in BC, take the brand national. Very excited to make some announcements here in the next few weeks and months for Glacial Gold and national listing. So just want to actually really take the opportunity to run through our products. So this is our 5 current SKUs in market for distilled oils, large format THC and CBD oil. Distilled 3030 is a very unique product, not in market. I obviously mentioned the CBD 100 and 200. Those are our high potency CBD oils, along with our top selling CBD 50, selling tremendous against competing products from Hexo, Tilray, Readycan, MediPharm Labs. I think we've really nailed it from a quality and a price perspective. And as I mentioned, we think there's a tremendous opportunity on the CBD side. We've seen kind of what CBD can do as a sort of a vitamin supplement, or a product that consumers take more regularly for health and wellness. And we think that with headwinds around deregulation, I think we're well set up to be a leader in CBD oil-based products here in Canada and globally. Then finally, our vape offerings. So currently have 4 large format 1 gram vape cartridges. We've really focused on the balanced 1-for-1 CBD THC. That's very unique in the Canadian market. Again, we have great economics on our CBD distillates. But I think we call it the anytime vape, and consumers have really been impressed, I think, with the quality of the distillate. What we've seen in this market over the last year and a half, it's a lot of substandard vapes. from speaking to retailers, speaking to our government distributor, the feedback's been fantastic with the quality of the distillate. What you see through our IP and our patented filtration process, we're able to remove more of the fats, waxes, and sugars that you see in lower refined distillates and competitors' products. Those fats, waxes, and sugars actually cause issues with vapes plugging up. So, big issue when you don't have a second chance to make a strong first impression on consumers. Again, we talk about intellectual property a lot, predominantly based around our distillation post-extraction process. But I think we've really focused on developing, formulating some fantastic products. We have a human trials license, the ability to perform sensory evaluation. All our products go through extensive testing through the product development formulation step. And I think it's a testament to the work the team has done in actually putting our IP into action with how well these products have sold at retail. This is a pictorial representation of our extraction purification end-to-end process. 10 issued patents covering what we believe to be the most efficient methods for producing high purity cannabis distillate in a federally regulated environment. We use the analogy of premium whiskey versus moonshine, and have really focused on our technology and how to get to that molecule that's high purity, but also being able to get there very efficiently. Lately, it's been a focus on some of our delivery technology.
Sorry to interrupt. When you do your high purity, your processing, are there a lot of terpenes or other sort of the good sort of stuff, not the waxes and sugars that get included? And is there much variability on that over time, depending on the batches you buy from various people?
There's certainly a lot of variability, and there can be with some of the undesirables if they carry through into the finished product. Which actually can cause a number of issues. One of them is shelf life and being able to standardize your finished products. It's something that our product development team does an exceptional job of. Every time a consumer buys a Glacial Gold product, what is on the label is what is in the product, and that's a big issue, obviously, in the United States and all the CBD products down there that are unregulated. We've built this product lineup and our technology within a highly regulated market, for us, I think that's the bulk of what our advantage is getting to that highly refined ingredient. Our specialty molecules division is something that we created a few months ago, and it has the bulk of our R&D activities. It's really focused on developing and commercializing novel psychoactive compounds. Looking at creating IP-protected therapeutic products from minor cannabinoids and drug delivery technology. CBN is a big focus. We've developed a proprietary methodology to actually convert THC into CBN. It's a lesser known molecule. In flower, it's very small amount. For us, excited for 2022, where we expect to actually launch some sleep-based products that we think will appeal to a larger demographic. This specialty molecules division is really about commercializing our existing IP. Nextleaf holds 4 issued US patents around the acetylation of cannabinoids. Acetylation is a pharmaceutical process of taking a herbal form of a drug and actually putting it into a standardized molecule. Very significant, we think, with the amount of IP and R&D being done by a number of the pharmaceutical companies, but also kind of looking ahead to the future of cannabinoid-based drugs. Our IP, we think, will be very, very significant. Currently looking and working through exploring strategic alternatives and partnerships to really maximize the value of not only the IP portfolio, but our specialty molecules division and our ability to do some very interesting things under a federally regulated framework. Just actually recently announced an update on a application to Health Canada for our dealer's license to be able to actually use psychedelics through our extraction purification process, and again, continue to develop IP that we think will be very significant in the future. This is what we believe represents that kind of the blue sky opportunity here. 95 issued patents globally. We really say that there's an arms race going on with patents in both psychedelics and cannabis. Looking at cannabis, 7 of the top 10 patent holders are actually multinational pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer, GW, Merck. Obviously, pharma leans heavily into IP. As far as cannabis goes, I think we're number 3. We hold the 3rd most patents after Canopy and GW, and obviously that lawsuit a year ago that Canopy brought against GW on a CO2-based extraction process, we think very impactful in our business and really validating what we're doing with some of our IP. We operate in Canada, but as this map shows, we've developed a tremendous amount of IP in outside of Canada, obviously in the United States, but in Europe and across jurisdictions that we think will be very impactful. I think as a business, we've gone with a very asset-light strategy. It's been about developing IP and protecting that IP in jurisdictions that we think over the next 20 years of the patents will become very significant.
With the other regions you filed patents in, do you have a go-to-market strategy for those other markets, or are you just kind of focused on the Canadian market and still evaluating whether to license it or build your own assets or and so forth?
No, I mean, that's a great question, and we are focused on the Canadian market, and we are evaluating opportunities to commercialize our IP through licensing, through joint venture, through opportunities. And I think we're in no rush. We're in this for the long game, and we realize that this patent portfolio is very valuable when you consider that Canada is the first developed country in the world to legalize. Obviously, the news last week about Germany. We're hearing that Mexico may also legalize. So I think what you see is a company that is very, very well positioned for the future. And the reality is these patents are good for 20 years. And we believe that there'll be tremendous opportunity to increase speed to market for companies operating in those jurisdictions by Nextleaf actually licensing IP around our process and plant and methodology. So just moving along to our management team and board, just want to point out Dr. Sherry Boudram. She was formerly a Health Canada inspector in the medical cannabis division, one of the foremost regulatory experts anywhere in the world when it comes to cannabis and psychedelics. So very lucky, I think, to have Dr. Sherry on our board. And the board includes also Fred Bonner and Tim Gillis, and Tim, tremendous experience as a former CEO of STI and in the healthcare pharma space. And obviously our co-founder and chief technical officer, Ryan Coe, is 15 plus years of experience in cannabis. More importantly, the guy behind our plant and technology. He's authored over 90 patents globally. Our key personnel and operating team, Chris Andrews, our director of sales. He's a brand builder, previously was at Vega in the early days, helped that company go from zero to a $550 million exit. And Tom Janowski and Scott Mayer, very experienced. They've come from LPs that have been acquired, very, very strong operators in the regulated space. And then our R&D team, Dr. Krupal Pal and Dr. Gia, they've been a big driving force of our intellectual property portfolio. And as a small team, what we've been able to do with the extraction, purification, and delivery. Looking at our cap table, I think what we always like to talk about is relative value. 125 million shares out, very tightly held, about 20% owned by management insiders, another 20% within our circle of friends and family. When we look at our market cap of about 30 million bucks, we have the 3rd largest patent portfolio. We've got a very lean operating structure, asset light, a brand that's recently launched in market. And we think that, Nextleaf has really laid the groundwork to take a significant step change in our value, especially on a relative basis. We look at some of the largest producers in the world, billion-dollar companies, In only 10 weeks in market, Glacial Gold has outsold a number of these brands that have had years and literally hundreds of millions of dollars behind them. And I think it's a testament to the IP, but also our lean structure. Now, want to sort of wrap up the presentation and really go over just a kind of a quick overview on what we see here moving forward. First and foremost, on the B2B side, we see the supply chain normalizing. We see companies starting to look for ways to increase efficiencies. We expect that's going to lead to some of our larger competitors actually shutting down some of their operations around extraction. We've seen a number of the cultivation facilities shut down, and we expect to see that continue. We think it's a great opportunity for Nextleaf to gradually pick up B2B wholesale business, supplying distillates to our partners as opposed to them doing it themselves. And I think most importantly, where we're going with our branded products under Glacial Gold and the ability to expand the provincial rollout. We've had tremendous feedback from BC, but also the traction that we've gotten has led to other provinces reaching out, and expect some news there shortly. But I think the part that's really exciting is that our brands and our products are differentiated. Consumers have spoken. These products have sold exceptionally well in market, and we see an opportunity for companies that control their costs and focus on IP and true competitive advantage, being able to weather the storm and really outcompete some of these larger players that have big overheads to carry. And the final point, the largest processor in Canada recently acquired 1.1 million square foot greenhouse yesterday, and we thought it was music to our ears. And that's a great example where we see the opportunity is that being an asset light company, we see ourselves being able to offer better priced products, more compelling offerings, and just be more nimble. And I think that's really key in this market, because there is a lot of capacity out there. So, for us, we've been very focused on IP. We've developed a track record of success, turning innovation into patents. And we think there's a tremendous amount of value under the hood. We have a world-class team and a fantastic technology platform to really capitalize on this opportunity that is the federal legalization of cannabis in Canada and the United States and globally. So that's a quick overview of our story, Martin, and want to pass it back to you.
All right, thanks. That was a great overview. With the Glacial Gold, is it currently being sold only in British Columbia?
We are available across British Columbia, private retailers, government stores. Just launched nationally for medical cannabis patients through the Mendo platform. It's a Quebec-based medical platform, so they do everything with doctor consults over the phone or computer. And we're very excited about this group because we think that there's a big opportunity, especially with our CBD products, our CBD oils and anytime vapes, to offer a better solution for patients. There was a recent survey around veterans. 96% of veterans said that medical cannabis has improved their life. And in Canada, almost 600 million was spent on medical cannabis last year. 120 million of that was reimbursed by the federal government. Then those were medical cannabis purchases by veterans. So we're excited to have Glacial Gold available nationally from coast to coast to veterans and medical patients, and then expect, as I mentioned, 2022 to be in every province from an adult use perspective. So expanding from BC to the biggest markets, including Ontario, Alberta, Nova Scotia, Saskatchewan, and Quebec.
All right. And your current facility that does 10 times the efficiency of sort of a similar processing plant. What is your current capacity? I don't know how would you measure it in terms of input or in grams of output a day? What's your sort of nameplate capacity at this point?
No, it's a great question, and we like to say capacity is sort of a fallacy. And if you remember 3 years ago, it was what's your funded capacity, and that was really driving valuations, right? And for us, very important part of our story is that we're in 6,000 square feet of production space, right? So very small, the opposite of a funded capacity. We're right sized, but more importantly, we have a very scalable automated plant that we're able to scale up to meet demand through our automation. We have a small team of just over 20 people, but more importantly, we're able to produce the same amount of distillates and process about the same amount of biomass as producers and processors that have 10 times the people that we do. Right?
What would that amount be? Can you, or is that sort of a company secret on how much you could produce?
Our plant was built to process about 600 kilos of biomass per day. And then how much you get out is obviously a function of what the potency of the biomass is, right? For us, we're averaging, currently running about one shift every day. We like to run about 3 to 4 tons per month. That's kind of the sweet spot for us, and we're able to shift our workforce along from primary extraction to distillation and then into finished goods manufacturing. I think in time we are looking at solutions to scale packaging and distribution, which are activities that really Nextleaf doesn't have a competitive advantage on, and be able to actually outsource that to some of the partners that are out there, and really focus our operation around what we do best, and that's making beautiful golden high purity distillate, garbage into gold, and more importantly, being able to distribute our Glacial Gold brand to leading retailers and distributors across the country.
Gotcha. So you're essentially running one shift a day. Is that?
Yeah, and as an operation with our current capex, our spend is done, our plant is built. There's no equipment to build. We're able to scale this business up to, I think it has a capacity of $50 to $60 million a year top line revenue if we're kind of operating at ideal utilization. I mean, obviously, for us, we certainly see a path to $5 million a month in sales, but you gotta start somewhere. And for us, very important to scale in a manageable fashion. It's not about grabbing market share. It's not about top line revenue for us. It's about profitability. And we would rather turn a profit off $1 million in top line than guys who lose tens of millions off 100 million in top line. For us, it is staying lean and being able to scale the production of our business, and as the market grows, as our distribution grows of Glacial Gold and our wholesale molecules.
When you're buying the wholesale biomass, I'm curious, you buy, quote, the garbage. What is how much of a discount per gram or ounce or whatever of biomass does the sort of the trimmings sell for relative to if you would buy like premium flour, like the good stuff? Is it like 1/2 or?
Yeah, and that I think that's the great part about our business model. Is for us, there was a recent report that came out last week that said the market price in Canada of biomass is sort of 10 to 15 cents per gram. The market price for flour that's of higher quality, that's not going to be used as biomass in extraction, you're looking at $2, $2.50, even $3 a gram. So significant difference. And we think that when you look at all the producers in Canada, generally they've all made a tremendous mistake in going way too heavy on cultivation assets, and they're underutilized, right? So it's a big draw on their financials, and their ability to utilize the plant to a degree that they need to actually hit profitability. So for us, we think in being a IP driven business that is in the right part of the industry, being able to leverage relationships to get lower quality biomass, waste products, and being able to turn those into a commercial distillate that can go into our products and our partners. It's the right model for the industry and where the industry is today.
Right. Just going to ask one more questions. We've got a fair amount of questions from the audience here that we'll get to shortly. You mentioned on your molecules business that you're looking at strategic alternatives. Could you that could mean a whole lot of things, strategic alternatives. Is that like something you could get spun out or maybe sold to a like you keep the license for the access to the technology and someone else buys it for their own production or to roll it out to the rest of the world, or am I in the, or am I kind of in the right path here, or what?
Yeah, and I think we are exploring all alternatives, and for us, it's always what's in the best interest of the oil's shareholders. Nextleaf's in a very unique position because we've punched way above our weight when it comes to IP development, and as we've been issued a number of these patents and press release that we've actually received inbound communications from a number of the largest, tobacco, pharmaceutical, CPG companies, and that I think we've obviously seen a number of investments in Canadian producers from, Altria, British American, Imperial Brands, Constellation, just to name a few. And, there's, I think, a big focus on cannabis, more importantly, I think on CBD. And Nextleaf has really led the way on the development of novel extraction purification, but also delivery technologies. For us, we know that we've got a business that we commercialize our IP by selling molecules and branded products, but also realize that some of our advanced proprietary formulated delivery technology, specifically around THC and CBD acetate, we think will have tremendous value to large multinational pharmaceutical companies. So it's really, we're in no rush. We're about finding the right partner, and believe that tremendous value in this patent portfolio. It's just about we gotta unlock it. We just gotta unlock the value of it, and I think partly it's through licensing and commercialization, but also through the right partnerships.
Great. Well, with that, we're going to switch it over to the audience questions here, and I'm just going to start from the top. They may be sort of not thematically packaged here. So has Nextleaf submitted to the OCS for the spring release?
We have. We're very excited. We have had fantastic feedback from the buyers at the OCS. They actually reached out to us after seeing how well Glacial Gold has done, and expect to have some pretty exciting news coming up soon.
All right. How have the poor weather conditions, I presume they're referring to Vancouver and BC, is all the rain we've been having here, and we're about to get some more of, despite the sunny day we're having today. Has that affected your supply chain at all? Has it affected any of the greenhouses in the valley?
It has impacted some other folks in the valley. Nextleaf hasn't been impacted directly. Our staff haven't been impacted directly, but obviously, a lot of devastation here. I think what we have seen is an uptick in orders just since everything happened with BC, and obviously they want to be well stocked up. And Glacier Gold has been selling very strongly, and so for us, we're going to keep doing what we're doing and focus on where we need to as a business, and obviously hope that everyone can get through who's been impacted by the floods.
All right. What avenues do you have in the world of psychedelics? Is any of your technology applicable there?
Yeah, our founding shareholders are a group of guys I like to call citizen scientists who've been playing with cannabinoids, extracting, purifying. When I met our co-founder, he was doing things with cannabis that I had never seen before from being in the legal market for a few years. And we also have, being in Vancouver, we have a great network of citizen scientists who've been playing with psychedelic compounds. And we think that, geographically where we are, we're sort of in a hub for psychedelics and cannabis globally, right? If you think about, BC, and what we've done very good job at, I think, is taking the citizen scientists into our platform, surrounding them with our chemists and engineers, and being able to develop some very disruptive intellectual property based on years and years of work and development in the unregulated market. So we're excited what we have the ability to do. I mean, obviously in the psychedelics side, there's no sort of commercial market yet, I would say, but certainly we think that we're very well positioned to develop patents, U.S. patents around some very novel extraction distillation technology, and be able to utilize our existing plant and existing lab. So there's no CapEx spend, which is the best part.
Right. Is Nextleaf in the position to remove herbicides or contaminants that are through your extraction process?
That's a great question. We have been working on something. It's a very interesting technology for the last 2 years. It's been incorporated into our process, and we think it forms part of what gives Nextleaf a competitive advantage. Because when you look at cannabis, when it's grown indoors, you're able to control the environment more. It was certainly when you grow hemp or cannabis outside in soil, under the natural light, you're going to have big challenges from spray of other fields. We have been able to really dial in our processes, our post-extraction technology. Some of our patents there are very important to our ability to get to that highly refined molecule free of pesticides. Obviously, being here in Canada, every lot has to be tested for pesticides. It's not like the United States. It's also why we're very confident in what we built here. We have built technology that allows us to get to that high purity distillate free of pesticides and contaminants on an industrial scale within a federally regulated environment. Right, we're going to make some announcements in the coming future around some of the technology that we've been able to leverage. So, great question. Pesticides is like the $1 billion problem that no one really talks about in this industry.
So just to simplify that, you're working on it, but you're currently not, that's not your process, but you hope to announce something shortly on that, and that's what you're working towards.
We've incorporated it into our process. We're going to announce some IP, some development of our formal IP. I mean, it's one thing to incorporate tech into a process. It's another thing around filing patents and issued patents and that sort of thing. And we're continuing to improve our technology. Innovation is it's about constant innovation. It's not about what made sense 3 years ago. It's about continuing to innovate and stay ahead of the industry.
Right. What do you see as the impact of NCAN in terms of efficiency of extraction, processing, and value of current NL patents? I don't know what I just said there, so I don't know if you know what I just said.
Yeah, I don't follow that question. So
all right.
Whoever asked it, if you could just email, happy to answer it by email.
Yeah, shoot me an email from the invitation stuff, and I'll forward it over to the Nextleaf guys, or shoot it to them directly. So thanks for the question. You'll get to that soon enough. And are there minor cannabinoids within the finished distillates, or is it just in terms of molecules, just CBD and THC?
Great question. Minor cannabinoids. We have a broad spectrum of our distillation, so we don't isolate. We actually want all the minor cannabinoids in there, and that's a big part of, I think, the value of consumers. I say consumers, but really B2B customers that use a broad spectrum versus an isolate. So I think for us, the minors are a focus, and we'll continue to actually develop technology around pulling out those minors and creating products around them.
Well, and I guess once you're able to pull out the minors and just have all the different ingredients, then you can recombine them and have a real consistency, like exactly what's in that spectrum of things, which is, I'm sure, something people would love to have.
And I say this all the time. When you look at the big tobacco, pharma, alcohol companies in the space, these are companies that I don't think care about growing plants. The future of this industry, we really believe, it's in consumer packaged goods, it's in therapeutic products, but it's in standardized products where you're able to formulate into a product formulation targeted at a certain a certain indication or effect, right? That you want to elicit in your consumer. And so, for us, Dr. David Novinsky on our team, our R&D lead, has done a tremendous job in the IP and more importantly, I think, commercializing what we're starting to do. And we have some very exciting products coming out soon, built off this innovative tech.
Well, way back in the day, I was in the CPG, the consumer product goods space, and we were actually in chocolate and food manufacturing, and we had some high quality and low quality products, but it was always about consistency. If you're getting a low quality one, you just want it the same every time. If you want high stuff, you want the same high quality stuff all the time. And that's what I think the whole industry has been struggling with, and you guys are trying to solve that issue.
Sure. Yeah, big issue, especially when you look at edibles, you look at the United States, right? They legalized hemp in 2018, and still there's not regulations on manufacturing CBD products. There was a recent study on 24 CBD products in the US, and there was a big variance. There was only 4 products where what was on the label was actually in the product. We've really solved that with our technology, being able to do it in Canada, again, in the most over-regulated market in the world. And it's all about ingredient processing and having a competitive advantage on producing those ingredients that then can be formulated into Glacial Gold products or into our customers' products under their brands.
Do you have the opportunity to process or use your technology in the CBD space in the US, given that its regulatory status?
We do. We think it would be a mistake. I'll be honest. We have no rush to get to the US. I think companies are doing that now. We've seen some of our competitors buy US CBD plays. I think until there's regulation, it's a bad place to be. You never want to be a company that operates to a pharmaceutical level and then is out competing with companies that aren't operating to any kind of regulatory standard. But also with the challenges in the US with 280E. The US is just getting started. For us, I think as there's regulation around CBD products, the US market becomes a lot more interesting to us. But it's certainly it's not going anywhere. And for us, we're focused on really validating our technology in markets that are federally legal and regulated.
Right. Upon final receipt of your dealer's license for psilocybin, how will Nextleaf stand out differently than others in the market already?
That's sort of a loaded question, and we want to be careful in kind of giving away our strategy as far as how we're going to leverage that license. But we view it as Nextleaf has stood out because we've gone out there. We haven't talked about innovation in IP. We've gone out there and done it, and we've out innovated a number of larger companies that have put press releases out about hundreds of millions of dollars and hundreds of scientists, right? I think we've had a model that works. We've been able to build a culture where the citizen scientists and the early pioneers in this industry have come in, they've plugged in to our platform, and we've been able to generate a world-class IP portfolio. We expect to be able to do exactly the same thing. This is the bleeding edge when you think about what's happening globally, right? Cannabis, psychedelics. Canada is really a world leader, and there's nowhere else in the world where you can develop IP within a federally regulated framework. We think it's going to open up lots of opportunities to partner with some very, very large companies, and couldn't be more excited for the future.
Right. Turning to your income statement, in what quarter is profitability currently expected? And I'd like to add to that is how much revenues do you need? What's your break even level in terms of revenues?
Really glad that you asked that question, because I think that's an important question. So for us, depending on the revenue mix, whether it's toll processing, bulk distillate, or our own branded product sales, break even somewhere between $700,000 and $900,000 a month, and that gets us to profitability. Why I say that, because I think it's a very important number. For us, we expect 2020 to be able to get to profitability in the first half of the year. When you look at the business and you look at how well we've done in BC, it doesn't take much to really draw that line and say, well, okay, these guys have launched in BC 10 weeks ago. been able to carve out a significant niche and significant sell-through against some of the largest brands in the country. When you look at the trajectory going into Alberta, going into Ontario, going into the medical market, B2B, Atlantic Canada, we think that there's a great opportunity to really scale the business. We expect to be profitable. More importantly, I think there's so few companies out there that are actually well set up to be profitable within this environment, right? Again, biggest processor in the country has a 17% gross margin, but worse than that, they're doing about 11 million a month in selling and general overhead, right? That's a lot of product that you gotta sell. So for us, again, right size platform for the Canadian market, but more importantly, we've invested heavily in our people, heavily in the innovation and the IP of our business, and we really believe we built a $1 billion IP portfolio that as we continue to scale in Canada, we're gonna have tremendous opportunity to bring that to the US and internationally.
Right. We touched on this a bit before, but how much distillate is made from a ton of biomass, and what are industry norms on that? And then as well, and what's Nextleaf doing understanding that NL distillation further? I don't know what NL distillation is, excuse me, and has higher quality.
Yeah, so first and foremost, quality is a term that executives like to throw out a lot. Like, as I mentioned, no one ever comes in and says, hey, we're making an average quality product. For us, how we define high quality distillate is a higher purity removal of fats, waxes, and sugars, dyes. If you look at a Glacial Gold cartridge, the first thing that you'll see is a beautiful golden distillate. You look at some competitors that are using full spectrum oils or less refined distillates. You'll have dark material, tastes like crap. You got the plant materials in there. And what you've seen, and you get out there and talk to these retailers, and they say, look, we normally don't buy cartridges at this price point that you guys have launched at. There was a great newspaper article in the Okanagan that talked about Glacial Gold really disrupting the vape market. It was a great quote from one of our retail partners up in the Okanagan. But his point was like, look, like the quality of the cartridges are far superior of all these products in that value segment. And the value segment is where we want to be, because we think how we disrupt the market is having the top priced value product at an unbelievable value and great quality that is standardized, and consumers expect that quality every single time. So, for us, a lot comes down to our IP and our process from extraction through to distillation, and we're going to continue to tighten that process. I talked about continuous innovation. That's a big part of what we do. We get some unbelievably smart people. Like it's humbling every time I go into the lab. Like I think, I say this a lot, like the team deserves so much credit. We brought together some of the smartest people in the world who've come to Vancouver to work with a group that has been very innovative. And I believe we've out executed some of these billion-dollar companies that have had, exponentially more capital and, larger teams. We like to say it's like the Battle of the Alamo, right? But it all comes back to quality. It all comes back to that higher purity distillate, and then really the brands and the products are built off that.
In terms of what I think maybe this person's getting at is, well, thinking that if you can extract more out of it, then you're a better process. But if you're extracting more of the bad stuff, you may actually have more grams per biomass. But if it's grams of junk in there, that's not so good then. So it's the purity, not the total sort of extraction ratio, so to speak. Right there?
That's exactly it. We have kind of multiple cuts, right? Our prime cut, we sell through our wholesale channels to our partners, and then we utilize the next quality in our products. And the lowest quality cut that comes off our distillation, we also have products for that goes to partners that use them in topicals and these sorts of products. So it really depends on the finished use. For us, it's all about higher utilization, using all the parts of the buffalo, right? And I think, again, a lot of companies have focused on how big can we get, how much weed can we grow, when really it should be, how can you get more efficient? How can you get more to less? And how can you utilize a higher percentage of your harvest, and that's really what our technology supports.
Is it actually better for growers to write off product or execute a contract with you guys to receive value from that product? And does that write-off material have value?
Certainly it has value to us when we can pull the cannabinoids out. What we've seen is there's a lot of biomass, especially on the hemp side, that nobody wants to process because they're not efficient enough to process. And what's happened, it was a different industry 2-3 years ago, right? If you looked at like Medifarms and Valens in those early days, they were world beaters, but that was because the price of distillate was $45,000 a kilo. And now that the market's $4,000 to $5,000 a kilo for that same kilo, efficiency matters a whole lot more. And it's the same on the biomass side. So there's a lot of biomass that companies simply destroy. And for us, it comes back to giving them a better solution of being able to actually pull something out, being able to monetize some of that biomass. But we're in this place right now where it's really about kind of a normalize of supply, right? There's this oversupply in the marketplace, and I think for us it's about staying small, staying nimble. We've got the right size team that we can scale up production. Production's lumpy, and for us, going to continue to focus on being lean, being nimble, and being able to grow with the market, not grow beyond the market.
All right. The question asker here is referring back to their prior one, which you weren't sure about. They're saying NCAN is a private extractor in Kelowna claiming disruptive technology. Are you familiar with them? And
of course,
any comments?
I mean, they're guys that use off-the-shelf equipment from the manufacturer in Kelowna that a lot of the processors use. And again, what we always say is we wish everybody well. We're focused on our own thing. We're the only processor in Canada that has taken the time to engineer and construct a purpose-built plant. We did that for a reason, and I said this 3 years ago to all the big processors that use this same technology, is that when it commoditizes, you're just not going to be able to make any money, and that's the biggest challenge that we see in this space, and I think speaks to the foresight of not skating to where the puck is, but skating to where the puck's been going. And we're seeing this market sort of right size, in the sense that companies that a year or two ago were competitors of ours have actually shut down their extraction and now are buying molecules from us, and instead shifting to focus on manufacturing and distribution of products. And I think that's normal. I think that's in other industries. So, we expect to continue to see that. We know where our competitive advantage are. We don't worry so much about what other people are doing. We give them all, wish them all the best. And our team is head down, focused on every single day, how do we leverage our competitive advantage and how do we put some great products out there for consumers?
All right. Well, last comment I have here is well done, Martin and Paul. So we got kudos there from the audience. Thank you very much. And that is the last of the questions. And we are 1 hour into this, so it's probably a good time to wrap it up. So Paul, actually, one thing I always like to ask, over the next few months or few quarters, what kind of news flow should we be expecting out of, without saying you're going to do that, but like launching new provinces? What types of things are you hoping to get done over the next 6 months or so? So, 2022 is all about bringing the brand nationally. We've validated the strength of the brand and the quality and disruptive nature of our commercial strategy and our price points here in BC. So 2022 is all about taking this across the country, but we've got some very, very interesting technology that we also expect to commercialize this year, either directly, but also through some partners, and are excited to talk more about that in the coming weeks. But I think most importantly, it's about the path to profitability, and just couldn't be more excited here to start demonstrating the fundamentals. Our team, management and advisors are folks that have been at this a long time.
right? We're not folks that jumped into this because we saw an opportunity. We're in this because we love cannabis. We believe that it's as one of the greatest opportunities to disrupt industries like tobacco and alcohol and pharma. And we're in this for the long haul, and really believe that if we stick to our strategy, we're a very dangerous company for the big guys that have gotten too big too fast. And simply, a consumer at the end of the day, they want the best quality product at the best price. And we're very well set up for that. And we think that we're in this second wave, right? We didn't fall victim to some of the bad habits that the big guys did, making acquisitions and growing to kind of appease the market and their stock price. Small for us is beautiful. When it comes to IP, we're IP heavy. And again, we believe we've got $1 billion IP portfolio. It's just about unlocking this value. And that's really what 2022 is about: getting the profitability, unlocking this value, and continuing to build a world-class team and brand.
All right, Paul, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us. Maybe let's get you back in 6 months or so, and you can, after you've done made some additional announcements, and then we can get an update on how things are going. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks so much, Martin, and to everyone listening. Really appreciate your time. If you want to follow up with questions to investors@nextleafsolutions.com, Jason McBride will be happy to coordinate anything we didn't get to. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Cheers.